boxes, I'll get out late.
My name is Avery, Julien. I live in Maplewood. I graduated from Columbia High School in 2017. I'm currently in attendance at Rutgers Newark.
My name is Felisha George. I'm from Maplewood and I graduated from Columbia class of 2012. If I could explain my educational experience in the Soma district in 3 words, the 3 words would be neglectful, invisible, and rushed.
Frustrating. Long. And I don't know if this would describe it, but it left me feeling unprepared. Like everybody else, from my freshman year to my senior year, I think I changed completely. But my senior year, I had a lot of frustration and a lot of anger. The frustration and anger I shared with pretty much a lot of the student body. And I saw that a lot of the adults there, I felt a lot of the administration, a lot of the rules in place weren't there for me. I co-led the Black Student Union going into my senior year, and I got into the activist side of Columbia, which is probably one of its best assets. And that's the driving force behind my BOE run, and behind a lot of the change I wish to see, not only in the 2 towns, but also in our school district.
Senior year was also when I met the teachers that really pushed me academically and put in a lot of work to make sure that each and every teacher that I had was doing the same, and they held each other accountable, and that's what really changed my life around, so to say, when it came to Columbia. Years before that, it was just I was not getting the attention, I was not getting the time. I've had deans tell me that there's no way I'm graduating. I had deans tell me that I'll never see the day of graduation, I'll never see the light of graduation. I had teachers tell me that there's no need in teaching me, so senior year was definitely the year where I was starting to figure out who I am and was starting to figure out what was best for me. And I started drama class with Miss Lawrence, which was really huge for me, and it definitely changed my whole academic process around. I went from not doing so well to doing great and hiring up my GPA as much as I could in that short amount of time.
It's interesting because I came in under Principal Smith. I had him also at South Orange Middle School, and the way he ran things was much different to the way Miss Aaron would run things. But after that was my freshman year. My sophomore year, 2015, it was when I think Columbia had a lot of different events going on, or different issues happening. There was the whole issue with the teacher and a couple of the students, being inappropriate with each other. There was the multiple code reds we had. There was the fight week, people started referring it to as. And I feel like the administration could have handled a lot of those issues better. As far as the race problem, I feel like it comes to this ignorance that a lot of people have concerning race. There's this understanding that race is something that's actually real and intrinsic to people, instead of something that's been constructed and used against a lot of people of color to be specific. And I feel like the administration now, after all the year long of us fighting for it, is finally recognizing it. But while I was there was a blind eye. And there's been a blind eye towards race and towards the students of color in Columbia for a very long time. You can Google the documented instances of injustice, of pure racism and bigotry. They go back a very, very long time in the school's history.
I feel like a lot of students of color, a lot of African American students, a lot of us do go unseen, we go unheard, and that's the problem that I have with this district. It's important to listen. It's important to not only listen but to understand, and it's hard to understand if you've never lived through it. It's hard to understand if you've never spent hours in Columbia trying to figure out why you're not doing good. It's hard to help if you don't understand how administration can leave kids back, how administration can take a student and not focus on them for the whole entire year, and they fail with doing all their homework, with trying their absolute hardest. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to figure out exactly what will help these students and actually put that forward. It's one thing to come together and say, oh, I think this will work good for students, but it's another thing to come together and say, no, this is what's definitely going to work. I wish I had someone on the Board of Education or someone just in the school who was like, we need to figure out what's going to work for these group of students who it's not working for. It's not working for them. And it's a large majority of students who the system is just, it's fighting against. It's not helping them. And if we don't actually sit down and say, this is the real problem and this is how we have to fix it. These systematic issues are just getting worse because they're not changing, because there's no one there to change them. And as someone who's lived through the invisibility of what happens in Soma District, it's time to change it. It's time to actually put a foot forward and say, no, this is not helping. And it hasn't been helping for years. So it's time that we do something different. I want to be the person that helps bring something different to the Board of Education.
There's a necessity for change. There's a necessity for the students to be put first as a priority and their needs. And that's what I'll bring. I'll bring honesty to the board, a level of transparency that has not been there, a level of involvement that has not been there, and a level of understanding that needs to be there.
I'll get out of all your boxes. I'll get out. You can't hold me in these chains. I'll get out.